this question, right, is very difficult. So please listen up. It's really, really difficult. Now, they said that there were 64 more buttons in A than B at first. So in the beginning, A got more than B by 64 buttons. They said that Ken then added some more buttons to A. So how did he add? For every one button that he added to A, he will remove 2 from B. Okay, so A will become more, B will become less. They said that the number of buttons in B suddenly became 28 from this original number. Okay, they say in the end, the ratio of the total number of buttons in both boxes to the number of buttons left in B was 4:1. How many buttons were in A at first? This, I tell you, a lot of students confirm get it wrong. Out of 10, confirm 8 will get it wrong. So please be careful. I'm going to use the modern method to teach you how to do this. Now, do you realize that there's a before and after? Before is this, after is this. Okay, so always go and draw the after first. After is that the ratio of the total number of buttons in both boxes to B was 4:1, which means that the ratio of A to B is actually 3:1. Okay, because your total number of buttons in both boxes is A plus B. So if A plus B to B is 4:1, so A to B will be 3:1. Okay, so this one, right, is actually confusing English. Okay, now let's draw the after first. After is that A is to B will be 3 units. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and then your B will just be 1 unit. Now let's draw the before. Because you know that they removed 2 buttons from B, right? So which means that your B will become smaller, which means that originally it's supposed to be bigger, right? Okay, yeah, see, I'm starting from the same line. Your B is supposed to be bigger than this, right? So your B is supposed to be maybe just like that, bigger. And then they said that your B, the number of buttons in B became 28 fewer, which means that the difference between the original B and the B at the end, right, is supposed to be 28. So I'm going to draw a dotted line down to show that this is 28. Okay, this is the difference. Now, and then your A, they said that they added something to A, right? So they added something to A for A to become this big, which means that originally it's supposed to be smaller. Okay, it's not supposed to be so long. But we just know that it is 64 more than B. So which means that, see, I like to draw this comparison line. Comparison line, in the beginning, A has 64 more than B. Okay, all these are what I call comparison line. Okay, now we know that we know that B became 28 fewer, right? But how did it become 28 fewer? It's because they keep on removing 2 buttons from B. Okay, they keep on removing 2 buttons from B. And if they remove 2 buttons from B, right, they will add 14 to A, right? So I want to find out, if they can remove 28 from B, right, how many buttons did they add to A? Very simple. I take 28 divided by 2. Okay, so I'll get 14. Which means that for B to become 28 fewer, A must become 14 more. Okay, so which means that the difference between the original A and then the A at the end, right, is supposed to be 14. So this is supposed to be 14. Okay, so now using this model, right, can you tell that here, from here to here is 28. Okay, from here to here is 64. From here to here is actually 14. The 3 areas that I mentioned just now, right, is just nice 2 units. Okay, so we can tell that 2 units, right, will be equal to 28 plus 64 plus 14. So this is actually 106. This is the magic of using models. Your model must be very accurate. Okay, you must draw this comparison line. Okay, once you draw this comparison line, you'll be able to tell. And this is the most important step. Without this model, it's very difficult for you to do. Okay, now that we got 2 units is 106. So what's the next step? Find 1 unit. So 1 unit will be 106 divided by 2. This will give me 53. Okay, what's the question asking for? How many buttons were in A at first? Which means that they're asking for this. Correct? To ask for the original A, right, we find the A in the end first. We find the A at the end minus 14. Okay, and the A at the end is 3 units, right? Since 1 unit is 53, 3 unit will be 53 times 3, giving us 159. Okay, so quickly take 159 minus 14, this will give us 145. Okay, so this question is actually very, very difficult. A lot of students will actually get it wrong because the English is actually very tricky. And the operations inside, right, can be very, very tedious as well. So we must ensure that we draw the model correctly. Okay, so we draw the after first, we draw the before, we put in all these comparison line to show all these numbers. Okay, then we find the 2 units, we find 1 unit. Okay, we put a question mark here to remind us what we need to find, and then we find the answer. Alright, done.